Okay, it's been a while since I've done a video, but I've been doing some wagons, some Dapol wagon 16 tonners, weathering them up, and I thought I might demonstrate my process to make them look a little bit well used. And basically my process is to paint the body colour, or in this case I'm going to just use the original Dapol finish. Give them a coat of rust powders, give them another coat of paint, and let the rust throw through. I've already done one. There are riveted one. Actually I might leave the welded one for a cleaner wagon. I want to do one a bit cleaner than usual. So basically I've got the wagon ready to go. With the pigments, I'm using them wet, or a little bit wet, just a little bit of moistening. Don't need a lot. Just a little bit of thinners, just a bit of Tamiya thinners, and then just putting a bit of rust powder on. These will go under. This will go under the original, a second coat of grey, and then we'll pick it through. With these ones, I'm going to use lacquer-based acrylics, so the effect's going to be far more subtle. I did do two with light colour and use the ability of light colour to fragment quite nicely to get a really nice chipped effect. Some people will use salt. This one I'll probably use a little bit of liquid pigment just to make it come through. Not liquid pigment, liquid mask, just to make it show a little bit more, get some more defined chipping. But yeah, that's pretty much all I'm doing. Lots of dark shades. There's a little bit of the mid shade in there, and a little bit of the orange as well, just to get some new rust through. But like I said, I don't want to make these two look too filthy, or too decrepit. I've already got a couple that I've already done a couple where I've already achieved that sort of effect. But yeah, just keep working the powders until you get a dry looking finish, dry powdery finish. Get rid of the excess there. A little bit of thinners just to moisten them off. I'm finding the pigments and the thinners is a very good combination. You can get some quite nice effects for the not only rust but wood as well. So been doing a bit of that, using it with a bit of wood, and I will be coming back and doing a private owner the same way at some point. Okay, well, so yeah, we're just dabbing it on. This will all go under, like I said, this will go under a second coat of grey. With these two, I'm going to paint them with my current favourite BR early wagon grey, which is otherwise known as aggressor grey. It seems to be a reasonably close match, although looking at photos, it looks like any old grey would do. Even in the same photo, and they've all got the same colour cast. And the colour cast, there's still multiple variations, many variations in the actual wagons. Okay, well that will do that one. We'll put him aside. Like I said, with this one, I'm just going to do basically the interior. Throw a bit of wet pigment, or wet thinners down there, wet it up, start working the pigments in so I get a nice dry effect. It's all very quick, all very easy. Might need to get some more. Yeah, the dark one. I tend to use a lot of the dark and a little bit, probably the dark, the light, and the light most of all. I find the red, the mid shades very from Life Colours very red. Not bad, but in itself, it's not a colour I would use by itself. Yeah, with the interiors, all I'll do when I paint over these, repaint the wagon itself, is I'll just stuff some tissue paper into them, or paper towel into them. Gives me a nice soft edge. Which is very important, so it sort of feathers out. You can scratch it later on if you need to, just to make it look a little bit more beaten up. I will put a bit of black into it, but at this stage it's mainly the rust I'm after. The black, we can sort of put coal dust into it later, which is what we will do at the final weathering. The whole wagon gets covered in coal dust. Okay, so that is it. There we go, just get rid of the excess. That's practically dry already. And just a little bit touch up here and there. I've got my dirty fingerprints. Like I said, this one I'm not planning on making it too filthy. Most of the rust effects on this will come in afterwards. Okay, that should do us. Okay, time to spray them. Nothing fancy here, just a standard overspray. As you can see, I've stuffed the insides with masking. I haven't masked the underframes, I'm going to repaint them anyway. And as you can see, I'm getting a nice effect here. Where the rust powder is raised will give me my actual rust spots later on. And I'll show you that process once this paint's dry. Oops, a little bit heavy there. Wagon one done. Okay, and we're back. Now, I've finished painting. I've painted the underframes, I've painted the grey as we saw before, I've masked it out, painted the underframes, and now comes the moment of truth. I've pushed with this is the riveted one, and because it's more heavily rusted, I'm trying to get the masking tape to really adhere to the paint, because if it lifts any of the grey, we should get a rather nice effect out of it. Now, I have found with the lacquer-based acrylics that isn't quite as effective as it is with the water-based. The light colour ones are peel beautifully, and with these it's not such a pronounced effect. No matter, we have a knife, we have means to get our chipping back. So anyway, let's see what's under the wrapper. As you see, there's little bits coming out here and there, but not a huge effect. Like I said, with water-based acrylics, I have found this works really well. Not so effective here. But we can do things. We've got nice little rough spots there, we can chip them back with the knife. Hang on, let's just lift a few things. I'll just grab my glasses so I can see what I'm doing. That's better, I can see what I'm doing now. Trouble with getting old, things don't work as well as they used to. So we'll start peeling all this back and get myself the right pair of tweezers for that. I'll be right back. Yes, maybe. Try that. Is it going to work? Let's see, how would we go? There we go. Let's see. Bring the stripe back out while we're at it. And as you can see, just by scratching it where it's a bit rough, you'll start getting chips of rust through. I don't want a super heavy rust finish on these two. I did so on the peppermint green ones when I repainted those. And in fact, one of them I want to make it look like it's fairly new. Obviously, these wouldn't have lasted in pristine condition for long, but so we can just knock the chips out. I'll hit it with a toothbrush later, but yeah, you can scratch it with all sorts of things, knife blades and such like. There we go. We're getting a nice looking chipping effect. One thing I forgot to do with these, and I was going to do it with this one, was I was going to actually put down some liquid masking. I've done that on a couple of other wagons and it works quite well as well. It's a good way of getting some largish chipping. This is a nice subtle effect, so at the end of the day, there's no one right way, whatever. There's lots of ways of achieving the result that you want, and this is one that just happens to work reasonably well. As you see, I'm just a bit of scraping here and there. We'll get some nice chips out, nice chipping coming out. You can also make this look like scratches where the wagon's taken a knock from something. They do get pretty well beaten up. So lots of things we can do. Okay, what else have I got? I've got a toothbrush handy. Oh, there's another. Just get that blue paint on. I opened a can of about 15-year-old Midnight Blue the other day and scraped it back just to make sure it stays good. It's still good. 15 years, more like 30 years. I do miss the enamels. I much prefer them to the acrylics. But yeah, as you can see, just a bit of scraping, perhaps, and we can get some nice chipping going there. But yeah, we'll just keep working at it wherever it's a bit rough. You know, it gives the impression the paint's starting to peel, a bit of rust is coming through. There are other ways of doing it. I haven't tried the salt method where you put salt onto the model. Maybe next time I do a steel wagon I might. I've got a couple of hoppers to make, 21-ton hoppers to make at some point in the near future, although for the time period I'm working in, they would have been fairly new, so again, wouldn't have been too badly battered in the early to mid 50s, but I will be getting more minerals at some point. I've only got 5 of them at the moment. But there we go. That's pretty much it. I'll just keep working at it until I get a result that I like. And I will be back when I can't get to actually doing the final weathering and varnish. Obviously there's a few little touch-ups here and there's going to be needed, but we'll get there. All good. Catch you later. Just as experiment, tried one of my little steel brushes, my fibre brushes. Couldn't find the fibre one, it was too soft. Well, I found my fibre one, it was too soft. Couldn't find the brass one. But I'm just very lightly going over with the steel, and that's just lifting where there's lots of rust powder underneath. It's just lifting the top of the paint, which has given me quite a nice effect. I wouldn't want to do it too hard because obviously you'll scratch the hell out of the plastic underneath. But for what I want, if you're just careful, it will work. I tried a toothbrush, but the toothbrush over there is a soft one, which is well, just not quite up to scratch. But yeah, this seems to be doing the job quite nicely. Just a little bit there to just take the top off those lumpy bits where the rust powder's built up underneath. I mean, it certainly looks like there's rust forming underneath the paint, which is the effect I'm after. And yeah, there you go, another chip forming there. I'm trying to work in an up and down motion because that's the way the rain would have dragged the rust staining. Just remember that. Always be conscious of where the direction of travel of whatever effect you're putting on. So soot comes from above, dust comes up from below. Rain would tend to wash the dust and everything downhill. So lots of streaky movement, lots of streakiness. Try and keep it sensible where it's going. Keep it realistic. Yeah, look at that. Look how that's come out. Bit of rust around the door, around the pillars there, which is just what we want. A little bit on top, maybe. Yep. Again, these would have been bashed around quite a lot, very rapidly. You know, you're getting 20 tons or 16 tons of coal chucked in them every now and then. 2 or 3 times a week wouldn't have been good for the finish. So yeah, we'll just keep at it, keep working at it, and I will be back when it comes to final powdering. There's a little bit of touching up there, here and there that I'll have to do, but we can do that, and I will see you again once I come down to the final weathering. Got a little bit carried away here. I was going to start recording from when I started putting the powders on, but anyway, I've started putting dry powders onto the bodies of the wagons. Basically, these being coal wagons, lots of blacks, definitely a bit of road dust around the frames, a little bit more rust, pigments coming in as well, just to make a little bit more rust staining. Just work it in, work into the joints. A lot of this will fade. It looks a bit heavy at the moment, but a lot of this will fade when I varnish it, I hope, as he puts it on really heavy. And I might just try and clean that down a bit. One thing to remember with this is the direction of travel of rain, which is downhill, so try and concentrate on going downhill, but work it into the cracks and the crannies and places where dust would settle and sit and just hang around. This has got nice. This one's a riveted one, so there's lots of nice little rivets for coal dust to catch on. Just keep working it in, work it in. Just keep going round and round and round until you get a finish that looks pretty good. As I said, once we varnish this to set it all in, a lot of this will fade and drift in. But you know, we're just getting a nice effect here. Still got a bit of rust powder on that one, so let's put a bit more rust on this one. Just poking through. Now, I haven't done the insides yet. I'll do them next because they're going to be mostly rust and coal dust. So, again, lots of rust. Yeah, the insides. I'm not even sure that they actually painted the insides. A lot of the hoppers I look at, all you can see, if you do see a downhill picture, is dirty rust, which makes a lot of sense. It's coal is lovely, filthy stuff. So yeah. Now a lot of that will blow out, but will be nice and light when we actually varnish it. Light coats are the key here. Too much pressure from the airbrush, and all you're going to do is blow all that dust everywhere. Not such a problem. We've got all that rust powder there. Let's get rid of you. We've still got more rust powder. Yeah, we'll just keep putting the dust in. Lots of coal, lots of blacks inside. work it in. Like I said, this will probably, a lot of this will disappear with the airbrush. The varnish, a lot of it will, some of it will also dissolve into the varnish. So yeah. Now I didn't matte varnish these before I've been doing it. Before I've been doing this bit. It certainly, the pigments certainly stick better where it is matte. But yeah, I've been a bit lazy, I suppose one could say. But it seems to work. Again, nice subtle finish. A bit more dust around the underframe. While it would collect a lot of coal dust, there's a lot of regular road dust would be built up. Make sure everything's done. The buffers, they all get done. And that's how we're looking. It'll probably, as I said, it'll tone down a bit once I varnish it, which I will do shortly. And then once I've done it, if I need to add more, I can always go over with liquid washes, which I probably do anyway. I do find the washes do highlight certain details quite nicely. Okay, and Jensen's adding his 2 bobs worth. Alright, that will do. Alright, I'm back. Just quickly, I'll show you how I'm doing this. I'll do the LMS fan that you may have noticed I've been working on a little bit. Hang on. One thing to watch is fingerprints, because once you varnish, you will get them. That's why I've been starting to wear a glove, but just every now and then, you get a little fingerprint, you can't do much about it. There's another one there. Damn it. Oh, well. I'll have to do something about that later. Okay, and again, like I said, very light coats with the varnish. At this stage, I'm not planning on blowing the pigments off the model. I will go over this one with washers, just to lift the painting a little bit. I was aiming at a fairly new look in the early 50s. A lot of these would have still been carrying their original company liveries. A lot of them would have had hasty repairs, and any that are in VR grey would have been fairly recently done, so that was the aim with this one. We'll put him aside. Alright, what's going on here? Just quickly get rid of all of that. There's a lot of dust here. Dust is sitting in places I don't want it. Just bounced a little bit. Very mid-light misting coats. Getting this thing that leans forward slightly can be a problem. One of those times where a turntable is really handy. We'll just go up underneath first. Over. Try as you might, you still end up getting fingerprints in it. Never good. Never good. Rusts coming through. see, having the dry brushes next to you is not a bad thing. You can always wash it in thinners afterwards. The pigments do come out and dissolve quite nicely afterwards, so not such a problem. Lots of misting coats. You can see the pigments are still moving inside. Fingerprints showing up everywhere. I really must learn not to use my right hand. Problem is with the gloves, they get filthy as well, so at least you don't get fingerprints. Okay, so put a little bit more thin varnishing. Inside where the pigments are thickest is where it needs the most varnish. Alright, that's it. We're done.